Good morning. Thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. Everything's good. Hopefully everything's good. Okay, great. Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. Okay. Well, I love being on time. So in the spirit of staying on time and on track, I'm just going to get us started here. So thank you so much for RSVPing to my very first webinar. Thanks for spending some time with me this morning and learning a bit more about ethical and practical marketing practices. As I mentioned in teeing up this presentation, I gave this talk beginning of May for the Small Business Development Center. They were having a small business resource fair, and I was asked to speak on anything that would be beneficial to small to mid-sized businesses. A little bit about TACT. We are a small business ourselves, and we specialize in working with small to mid-sized businesses, and we help them with all aspects of marketing, and then also help them with our clients with breaking apart maybe some outdated marketing practices and thought work. I'm a big psychology nerd, and I infuse a lot of that in my work. I think that there is more to marketing than just creating content. We are to be intentional and providing value for our audiences. And I think a lot of times, sometimes that gets missed. And we'll be digging into that a little bit today. If you have any questions, I ask that you write them out, you put them next to you, and then we can chat at the end of the presentation. Without further ado, let's go. So I made this screen here to symbolize our world, to showcase what it's like to market today. And I asked the audience, can you read what's going on? And I'd slide by slide ask them if they could read it and ask them, does it feel like everybody's trying to get your attention? We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. We have so many social media platforms and so many people. There's nearly 8 billion people in this world trying to get our attention one way or another, to share an opinion, to sell a product or a service. It's a loud space to be in. In the 70s, the average person only saw about 500 to 1,600 ads per day. And I want to, we have a friend joining us. Stop real quick and add this here. In the 70s, we only saw about 500 to 1,600 ads a day. Any guesses on how many ads we see today? Granted, in the 70s, a lot of those ads were probably traditional, probably print, newspapers, magazines, radio ads. Today, we see, and this is even in 2021, we see 6,000 to 10,000 ads every single day. That is a whole lot of stimulus that we're inputting in every day. And if we're not properly outputting it, it can feel like a lot, and it can be really overwhelming, especially since a lot of that stuff is not targeted, is not thoughtful, intentional. And so I'm on a mission to make sure that we're being more intentional in our marketing and our advertising. This is just a high level advertising spend in the world's largest ad markets in 2020. I think that's millions, if not billions of dollars being spent. Can take a look at the different countries there and see how much money compared to the United States. We're spending a lot of money on advertising, a lot. And if anybody wants to get nerdy with me and talk about the state of our mental health compared to advertising, I would love to entertain that conversation, would love to partake in that conversation. Traditional marketing was created by a group of people looking to sell to basically anything that breathes. And they were looking to sell as much as possible, as quickly as possible. You think about where that started. We had a bartering system where fruit was a currency, or gold, or clay, or whatever was considered of value once upon a time was sold and bartered with to get food, to get the things that you needed. And a lot of this was based on survival instincts and wanting to enrich our lives or just survive. And we've taken a lot of that, I guess, OG way of marketing, of selling, advertising, et cetera. You think of the town square, people with the bullhorns, newspapers, selling those. We took a lot of that, and it's still practiced today, but we don't need to do that anymore. We don't need to, a lot of our basic survival needs are met. So we don't need to use this fear tactic, this pushy, this like, you have to do this, because our audiences are much more interested in, what am I getting? How is this helping me as a person? How can I evolve or grow as a person, not just how can I survive? Traditional marketing has notably only focused on selling as much as possible, as quickly as possible. I talked about that. You put a coin in, you get a customer out, just like a vending machine. That's the basic equation that was taught to a lot. I think about the admin days in the 60s. Like, that's what we were consuming, what we have come to know as marketing, and why I think it probably has a bad name, because it's just not thoughtful. It's not intentional. It's not connected. There's no connection there. And I believe that we all deserve to be treated with much more dignity. We have brains. We have the ability for cost analysis, and your customers, your vendors, partners, they deserve more too. You deserve to know that you don't have to do paid social media ads that are disembodied or dehumanized in any way. You can invest your precious marketing dollars, your marketing budget, to connect on a deeper level with your audience, so that you get those lifetime supporters, those brand advocates, those people that are like, even if I'm not buying today, I'm 100% committed to what your brand, your business is doing, and I'm going to tell everybody about it. That comes from connection. That comes from thoughtful marketing work. So a little bit about me. I am an experienced advertising professional. I have about 13 years of experience working in animation, video, digital design, print, photography, all things. I did a lot of it in college, and then did a lot of it at GRCC and the admissions office. I did a lot of it for a couple of other nonprofits prior to starting my own business in 2015. I have experience rebranding my own business and going through that exercise and all of the fun deliverables that come from that. A lot of my expertise is around art direction, creative direction, brand development, strategy work. When working with TACT, it's not just content creation, but you get marketing strategy and even business strategy development alongside of that content creation, so that we're really making sure, I know I keep saying the word intentional, but there's so much of it missing in this space. But really making sure that those businesses are intentional about the content that they're creating. And we're having a conversation about, where is this business going in 10 years, 5 years, what have you? Is there, is senior leadership going to retire or make a shift? And how can we position our content to be as supportive of the business and the sales team and internal team as possible, so that there's no gaps. It just feels seamless, and it feels valuable all the time to both internal and external communications. My BA from Grand Valley State University is in advertising and public relations, and then my associates is in communications from the community college. And I've also been on the American Advertising Federation board for a year and a half. I've been on the Kent County Girls on the Run board, helping with their communications, a lot of other stuff. If you have any questions about my experience or what I've been involved in, I would love to talk about it. So since 2015, I've continued to grow my business without paying for social media ads or search engine ads. I had my best year to date last year. We grew 23%. Despite there being a global pandemic the 2 years prior to that, and the world being kind of in a cluster, it is possible. And I'm going to talk a little bit more on how it is possible. And a lot of the driver behind that is because I've seen so many, especially small to mid-size, but even nonprofits and corporations throw thousands, if not millions of dollars away on paid advertising when they don't even have their own stuff figured out for basic brand maintenance and continuity and consistency. So you're just kind of throwing shit against the wall, hoping that it sticks. And like, oh, if we spend another $2,000 on this ad, yeah, you might get eyeballs on it, but how valuable are those people looking? Are they even interested in what you have to say? So we start on content first and then move our way onto paid stuff. It's one thing to make just pretty content. There's a lot of agencies out there that will just make pretty content. And then there's us. So since 2009, I've worked with a variety of clients. As I said, we do specialize in small to mid-sized businesses, but we've worked with national companies, even international companies, nonprofits. And one thing that continues to be true time and time again is that I've always worked with humans. And I know this is a bit of a debate because we've got AI coming up pretty quickly in our worlds, and we've got a lot of robots, automated processes that are coming in, and there's a lot of fear around what is this going to look like moving forward. But there's still humans on the other side of those tools that we're going to have to implement into our world. But I've always worked with humans and will continue to always work with humans, and their clients, their customers, they're humans too. I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, there's 8.5 billion people living on this planet. That number is going up daily, who laugh, cry, have grief, who look at changing jobs, who have pets, explore hobbies, have all of these things that feed into the human experience. They get frustrated, they solve problems, the list is endless. And the thing that makes us so unique is that we are human and we're connected by that. And I just think so often we forget that when we're marketing. We think about the algorithms on these platforms and we think about how to get the most views. And we don't think about what are the challenges and the struggles that my audience is going through right now, and how can I add value into that world, even if they're not ready to buy, even if they're not ready to sign on with me. How can I do that? Traditional marketing wants you to set hard and fast data points. It's more concerned with the what and not the how and the why. I have had to coach clients before and continue to have to coach them on KPIs are great. It's awesome to have goals, but we cannot get lost in just hitting those benchmarks because we're sacrificing intentionality. We're sacrificing messaging and the thing that makes our brand unique in a very saturated marketplace. We're sacrificing that when we're just focused on those numbers. So how can we market smarter? I've got some QR codes on here. They will work. You can scan it on a screen and they'll take you to some additional blog posts, articles, things, additional value that you can get out of this presentation. And I will distribute this after the chat, after the webinar, and you can take advantage of having this in your toolkit. Excuse me. Okay, so how can we do marketing smarter? First, we need to clean up the business a little bit. We need to tap into some emotional marketing, some operation level ups, and delegation. Emotional marketing comes from so this is where I get kind of into my hippie space a little bit and start taking more of the feminine energy that has been in a very masculine space of marketing and KPIs and data points and all of the stuff, and coming back to the emotional human part, that feminine energy, and being like, okay, how are we going to connect with these people? What does this look like? Are they struggling to invest in any luxury spending right now because we're in a recession? And how can I still add value to these individuals so that they are brand advocates? So when they are ready and comfortable to spend again, I'm already here and they know that they can trust me. Emotional marketing refers to marketing and advertising efforts that primarily use emotion to make your audience notice, remember, share, buy. We've got a big color wheel, I guess you can say color flower of some of the different emotions we experience. Some of them, I've seen wheels that are way more expansive than this, that go into the emotions we feel as humans. It taps into a singular emotion like happiness, sadness, fear, anger to elicit a customer response. So I say this with some caution. There are some things that we need to keep in mind when using emotional marketing so that we're not being unethical, because it is a very powerful tool. And if it's not used with responsibility, it can be really manipulative. First, I want to show you a few examples of some emotional marketing. I'm sure we've all seen these ads. Sarah McLachlan is, I don't want to say her claim to fame because that's not fair to her musical career, but she's very well known for singing in the background of these ads. And just tugs at my heartstrings every time. Look at these little babies. I'm a big dog lover. This is an ad by Mad. Very jarring, very potent. That's emotional marketing, good and bad. Primarily, a lot of emotional marketing is used to push more of the more serious, concerning emotions. Here's a blog post for you to read more about ethics in marketing, but we just really want to make sure that we're not using fear in a way that manipulates our end users into buying or participating, engaging in our services. This is not a good feeling across the board, because eventually your consumer client will get smart to the idea that you are using fear, because they're not going to feel good on the end, their end of the relationship either. It's going to feel manipulative. I promise you. It might start off great, like, oh my gosh, look at all these people I'm signing. Look at all these new customers, clients that are coming to us. They're worried about these things. We can help them. But if you just, that fear is kind of like a drug. If you start using it, you're going to need to use more and more to sustain your growth of customers, and you're going to eventually burn out, and it's not going to be sustainable, and you're going to hurt a lot of relationships on your way there. Another thing I talked about is, how do we continue to grow the business? How do we market smarter? We have operation level ups. Asking yourself, how does my business operate day to day? What can be automated? What can be delegated? And are there things on my current task list that are considered faux productivity? Prior to hiring a business coach, prior to doing a lot of this thought work myself, there were things, I'm just so busy. I can't market my business. I can't write newsletters. I can't do this because I just have so much going on. And when I really went through my weekly schedule, my day-to-day, I found out that I really had a time management problem. And I started time blocking how long I would need for tasks, and I got way more done. That's just a minor example of how to look at your schedule and see where there might be faux productivity. Is faux productivity coming from not automating something, not delegating something? I do have automation in my business, even though I am advocating for more intentional maintenance, continuity, having a more hands-on approach to your marketing. But there's things that can be automated. I have a customer journey, a client journey. When you sign up for my newsletter, that gives that new subscriber the best info to welcome them into the TACT community. And that is automated. But they're also getting weekly communications from me that I write every week from my heart. It has video that I recorded that week that connects to them. So it's using that thing as a tool to run in tandem with the organic, more impactful content strategy. What can be delegated is a huge time saver, is a huge level up. A rule of thumb I read a couple years ago was, if somebody can do something 70% as well as, like, if you could do it at 100%, if they can do it 70% to what you're looking for, you need to outsource that. You need to delegate that, because those are things that are eating up your time, brain space. I talk a lot about mental clutter with my clients, and how can we create more space in our brain to be using our gifts to the highest potential. It does not serve my clients well, or even my team well, for me to do calendar management, for me to do copy editing. So I have a quality assurance manager on my team that proofs everything, and she fine tooth combs everything. So then when I get it, I can look at these things at a higher level, almost like I am the client, and know whether or not the client's going to like that, because I have such an intimate team partnership with my clients that I can save them time by taking on that role within my team. And then I empower my team members to do things like content editing, design, etc. And the second is, how can you level up the systems you currently have in place? Task management, content creation, team client communications. Can you automate some of those team client communications? Or is there someone on your team that you can empower for content creation? Can you outsource to an agency like TACT to take on your content creation or even your task management? Those are all things to really consider when you're ready to level up your business. If things just feel sticky, if they just feel harder, these are great questions to go to start working smarter. Some content creation level ups. There's again that blog post that you can take advantage of there. When you give and create a valuable connection first, value, having blog posts, a podcast, a newsletter, printables for people to take advantage of, complimentary introduction sessions. It's so much easier and it feels so much better on both ends of that relationship to then go for the ask to schedule demos, book meetings, get answers, et cetera, et cetera. Part of the reason I'm doing these webinars is because I want you to know I know what I'm talking about and you can trust me. I'm not here to just build as many sales as possible. I truly want to help my clients and my audience and my network market smarter, have more efficient, high quality conversations with their team, with their clients. That's when the magic happens. And it's only when after you've done that you've built up enough emotion for them to be familiar with you and willing to respond to your ask. Feels better on both ends. A few more content creation levels up. Always ask yourself, how is my audience going to engage with this content? How do I want them to engage? Put yourself in their seat. Ask yourself those questions. If I read this, if I was scrolling on Instagram, would I stop and read this? Is this even beautiful to look at? Can I respect what was, even if I'm not buying the product or service or necessarily want to sign up, can I still respect what's happening here? Was this thoughtful? Create from that space. And always consider the platform in which your content lives. What's good for Instagram is not going to work on LinkedIn or YouTube. Always have some form of CTA. This should not always be an offer or a sell CTA. Sometimes the CTA is thought work, posing questions, helping them be reflective, taking a look at a blog post just for information's sake, looking at an article that you found interesting that's complementary to your brand. It's important to be on brand, even if we're sharing external links, if we're sharing complementary education materials, we want to make sure that it's still in alignment and it makes sense to that end user why your brand would share that. But it should not always be an offer to sell. Some content creation level up platforms that TACT uses and absolutely loves. Canva, excuse me. We use a lot of the Adobe Creative Suite, but I'm not going to knock on Canva. It's pretty great. Their collaboration features are great. You can comment and share links to the files and organize all within there. We love it. Plannable or Later. Those are both social media scheduling platforms that we use. They're very robust and we love everything about them. They give us, there's a lot of tools in there to help with hashtag generation and scheduling and when the best time is to schedule. And it's wonderful. Bitly is a link shortening platform. We love using that so we can track how our people are coming to us. So like I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with wanting to track and obtain data. It's just when you lose sight of the why and you're only focused on the numbers, that's when it gets dangerous. But data is great. We love data. Bitly is a great resource to use, to link shortener to use to see where your people are coming from. Descript is a platform I recently started using for my podcast recordings, for my reels. There is a free version of all of this stuff if you want to level up. and take advantage of the paid version, then you get additional tools, resources, etc. And these are all platforms that TACT uses. If you have any questions about any of them, I'd be happy to walk you through them. Growing your team level ups. I've got a QR code again in the corner over here. Hopefully my little face on my screen, my face is covering it. Hopefully it's not covering for you. Before you begin, you really want to make sure you're ready to move forward with your hiring process. Asking yourself, do I have a capacity issue or a time management issue? Remember I talked about my calendar and how I was so busy and I couldn't market my business, and I found out I had a time management issue. That's what I had to clean up first and get really intentional, about what type of individual I wanted to hire to come support me. Before I hired Leah, I had to get really specific about what I was going to be having her do, how she could see whether or not she was going to be successful in that role, what success meant for both of us in that role, and how to grow her even more in that role. We first started with very minuscule things like managing Asana or project management platform, maybe helping me with my Calendly and booking appointments, and then growing her to mature her beyond. And she's almost operations manager of TACT because of how much she has grown into the role and has taken on. Some other things, like I mentioned, what tasks or responsibilities are taking a lot of my time? Can someone do this task 70% of the level that I would do it? These are really key things to ask when you're interviewing somebody. Ask of yourself. And I go back into that energy space. Is this in alignment? Does this feel good? I do talk a lot with my clients about energy work and like feeling things in your body. And I know that is still kind of a woo concept in the world of business, but I've seen amazing things happen in my business and in my clients' businesses when we focus on that and we make sure that there's a good energy between who we're hiring to come into our team, their brand, because they need to be a huge brand advocate. They need to understand and love the work. They need to love your leadership style. It has to be complementary, and that isn't always data driven. That's emotion driven too. Couple other questions. Do I have time to train and onboard a new employee? This was something I learned in the early stages of growing my team. You have to be okay with this person not being ready to run until 4 or 5 months into their role, maybe even 6 months, depending on what you're having them do. That was a huge learning curve for me. Before I had Leah, I had another admin assistant project coordinator, and it went well, but there were some bumps in the first 90 days because I did not understand the amount of time it was going to take, because you kind of have to take on 2 jobs when you bring somebody on your team, because they need to be coached. They need to be provided for information, trained. You need to review their work so that they understand what high quality, your standard of quality looks like. It really takes time. And I unfortunately have seen some other clients bring people on and then not set them up for success, and they leave after a year and a half because they've tried. And that's usually the window of, okay, am I going to stay here or am I going to leave? And if that individual hasn't felt supported and they haven't been set up for success, then they leave because they've been in the role long enough to learn what's being asked from them, but they might not be fully understanding or clicking with you at that point. Do you have any training materials prepared, and really getting clear on what your budget is for whoever you're hiring? That might be determined by you or senior leadership, but those things are super important to get clear. Some communication level ups now. Communication with our audiences online requires more contact. We don't have tone of voice. We don't have body language, facial expressions. I'm here on Zoom. You can see me, you can hear me, you can see me talking with my hands, and I'm a very animated individual, but I feel I have to be even more so because I am online here versus if we were in person, you'd be having all of your 5 senses engaged. So we need to be mindful of that when we're talking, either through written text or through video. we need to make sure that we're being very clear and we're being very authentic in all of those things. Think about your user's journey. Where do you want them to go? Do you want them to just watch the video and then leave the engagement? Or do you want them to go to a website or submit a form or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? You want to eliminate as many obstacles as possible. You want to make it so easy to be a part of your community. If you're hosting a webinar like this, super easy. Send me an email. You're on the thing, join the Zoom. Everything's cool. Go to your website. It's easy to find everything. I've got multiple hyperlinks everywhere so that nobody gets lost. They can continue to fall down the rabbit hole if they want to, or they can end the journey if that's something that they want to do. You want that all feeds into your brand experience when you make things as easy as possible for your potential client, current client, etc. Some platforms that we absolutely love here at TACT for communication level ups: Slack. It's an internal communication platform. Think about texting, iMessage. You got your little message window. Some people use Teams. For communicating, we love Slack. We love our ability to use different channels for different clients and keep our conversations focused. Marco Polo is similar to that of a Snapchat, but it is a video communication platform. It's kind of like a delayed FaceTime. So if I were to Marco Polo you, I would record a video. Let's say I'm going for a walk and something reminded me about your business, and I send you a Marco Polo and talk about like, hey, here's what we need to think about regarding that strategy from the meeting and blah, blah, blah. It gets sent to you. You can view it on your own convenience and then reply with a video response when you have the time. It's really great because it gets that visual in there too versus a text. WhatsApp is an international texting platform. It's really great for those businesses that either need a consistent messaging platform, so they're not dealing with Android versus iPhone, or if they're talking to international clients, that's a really great platform. Instagram, we love Instagram. It's a very visual platform. We love engaging with brands on our DMs, direct messages. Loom is another platform that we take advantage of if we need to do a show and tell for a particular task or reviewing something and providing edits. We'll record a Loom, and you get like a little dude in a little video screen in the lower corner, and it screen shares so you can walk through, similar to what I'm doing right now, but it then turns it into a video and a link that's shareable so that you can send it to whoever you need to provide feedback to. And that is all she wrote today. Here's my contact information. A little QR code there will take you to my TACT microsite. There's some hot links there. If you're not subscribed to the TACT newsletter, I really would love to see you subscribe there. I do put out weekly newsletters, and a lot of them have good thought work in there when it comes to your marketing, business development, and opportunities to continue to engage with me if it's not possible for us to engage in a meeting. We've got about 10 minutes. I will give a few minutes for questions, but then I want to bless and release you to continue having a great day. Or if you want to connect with me privately, please send me an email or a text message, and we'll set something up so that we can talk more about you and what you're looking to accomplish. But I just so appreciate you being here today and listening to this presentation. I will distribute this presentation afterwards. Yeah, thank you so much. I'll hang tight here for a second to give some folks an opportunity to ask questions. Let's open the chat here. Thanks. Thank you. And if you're all set, you could just drop out of the call, and I'll talk to you another time.